Oliver and the Twins, Part 5. Give us this day our daily bread. When Mrs. Gregory learned that Oliver and the twins needed a new place to live, she had a suggestion. I have a friend who lives only a little way outside the city, she said. Her husband used to be the head gardener of a big house out there. When he died, the owners allowed her to stay on in the little gardener's cottage. She lives alone and might be glad for company. But you will have an extra distance to travel to and from your work, Oliver. It would be so good to live in the country again, Oliver said. I'd be willing to travel the extra distance. I've been very worried about the twins, alone here in the big city so much. Will you please ask your friend if we may talk to her about rooms? Word came that the gardener's wife was willing to see them. So the next Saturday afternoon, when Oliver was free, he took his little sisters out to see her. They felt proud in their new warm coats that Oliver had bought them. The cottage was small, but the gardener's wife said that they could have a tiny room for the girls. If Oliver was willing to sleep in a big chair which opened into a single bed, the chair bed was in a very small room at the end of the hall. Oliver was grateful for this answer to prayer. The twins were quite excited at the prospect of playing in the woods close by. The night before they were to leave their old place, Miss Gregory came to their rooms for the visit. She brought 2 lovely hand-knit dresses for the girls. They squealed with delight. We're rich! First new coats and now new dresses. What a lot of kind people there are in the world. Oliver's eyes filled with tears. Thank you so much, Miss Gregory. We hope you'll come to visit us often. The girls will miss you. Perhaps, Miss Gregory replied. When Oliver looked surprised, she said, I have a plan. The road to your new home is a quiet one, and I am sure the girls would be safe walking on it alone. Could you bring them to me when you go to work, Oliver? Then in the afternoon I could take them out of the city and see them safely on the road back home. This way they could continue their lessons. Oh, Miss Gregory, this has been bothering me a great deal about their lessons, I did not see how they were going to continue their studies, but I knew our father would show me a way when it was his time. You have been a real friend, and we are very grateful. At first the girls were a little disappointed. They loved Miss Gregory, but secretly they had been happy when they thought they would not have to do any more studying. All else was forgotten, but the beauty of the country and the many new things to see at their new home when they arrived the next day. The gardener's cottage where they were now to live was much like their cottage where they had lived with their mother. To Oliver, it brought back many happy memories. Up the long, narrow stairway they climbed, each carrying a piece of luggage. There was just one window in the girls' room, but it faced toward the woods, much to the delight of Babs and Debbie. We may see foxes creeping down through the woods, and a dear little rabbit. But when it's dark, there may be robbers hiding there. Wouldn't it be fun to see them creeping underneath the trees? I don't know. I'd rather see some fairies dancing. We'll play out there every afternoon when the weather is nice. That will be lovely. Oliver turned to their new landlady. Would we be trespassing if we walked in the woods a little before dark? Bless you, no. The family from the big house is away. If you meet any of the servants, just tell them you are staying at my house, and it will be all right. Up a steep hill they climbed. At the top, they could see miles away in each direction. The sun was beginning to set. It sent pale lemon colors streaked with gray into the sky. Slowly, the sky turned into a soft pink. Oh, what sunsets I shall paint from here, Oliver exclaimed. I may even be able to sell some of them for a good price. As they turned to go back to the cottage, Oliver noticed 2 fat little faces looking out at them from the bushes. "Hello," Oliver said. "Who are you, please?" The owners of the fat faces, a boy and a girl, did not answer Oliver. Instead, they made an ugly face at him and the twins, and then they ran down the hill. Halfway down, they stopped and yelled, imitating Oliver, "Hello! Who are you, please?" "Ha ha 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 ha! Never mind who we are. We want to know who you are. And we don't want you here, so go home!" With that, they took off again. "I wonder who those mean children are," Babs asked. "They may belong to one of the servants at the big house. Pay no attention to them, and they will probably leave you alone." That night, Oliver and the girls sat doing the work in their quiet time notebooks. As usual, they ended their individual prayers by repeating the Lord's Prayer together. When they got to "Give us this day our daily bread," Oliver stopped them. "We'll say that part over again and really mean it when we say it." The girls raised their heads. "Why, Oliver?" "Because I want you to know our daily bread is not easy to get right now. I don't know how long our money will hold out. We must ask God with all our hearts to give it to us. He hasn't failed us yet. But I'm in a tight fix now. I want you to pray often. Give us this day our daily bread." "Perhaps," suggested Debbie, "sweet rolls would be cheaper than bread. We'd like them just as well." Oliver shook his head. "Let us finish our prayer," he said. Before they got into bed, Babs said, "I suppose the Lord Jesus prayed that because he and his disciples were starving hungry sometimes. They were very poor, weren't they? And you told us that the Lord Jesus taught his disciples the Lord's Prayer." "Yes, they were often hungry, I'm sure," Oliver said. "And I know we shall be taken care of. But we must pray, for the Lord Jesus told us to do so." The next Saturday afternoon, the new landlady took Oliver and the girls all through the lovely gardens which belonged to the owner of the big house. They saw hothouses, water, and rock gardens, and a rose garden, and a beautiful terrace. "Wait until you see the roses in bloom," the landlady said. The place the twins liked best was known as the children's garden. It was enclosed by old stone walls. There was a swing, a tiny summer house, and low seats. In the center of the garden was a thatched pigeon house. Pigeons strutted up and down the wall. The girls saw some rabbit hutches and a squirrel's cage. These were empty now. "There are no children living in the big house now," the landlady said. As they were walking back towards the cottage, they saw the same two fat faces peering out from the bushes, making faces at them. "They are the cook's children," the landlady explained. "They are mean. Try to pay no attention to them." When they got back to the cottage, a visitor was waiting for them. It was their friend, Miss Sutherland. She told Oliver she was sorry to have been away when he called. She was most disappointed when she discovered that Oliver had sold his mother's picture. "I have some good news for you, Oliver," she said. "A friend of mine is a banker. He needs a clerk, and I have recommended you. Your pay will be twice as much as you are getting now." That night, at quiet time, Oliver prayed, "Thank you, our Father, for answering our prayers. Thank you for supplying our daily bread." "And sometimes sweet rolls, too," Debbie added. Within a week, Oliver was working at the bank. Tune in tomorrow for part 6.